Want help to grow your business? Download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Business. I'm your host, Maureen Pound. Today's topic is 5 surefire ways to nurture and keep your customers. So I've been a business coach for 15 years now, and I started back in the day where people didn't even know what coaching was. So they wouldn't be Googling business coach to find me. So back in those days, when I actually got a client, I really wanted to keep them because they were so hard to come by. So I've learned a lot over the last 15 years of how to keep clients. I've lost a few, but there's lots of lessons and learnings that I'm going to share with you today. I've also coached hundreds of people in Australia around the world and helped them implement systems to keep their clients and customers as well, which I'll share with you today as well. And to top it off, I've done quite a bit of research in this area, and I'm going to tie it all up in a beautiful package for you today with 5 key points on ways to nurture and keep your customers. Okay, but first I think I actually need to stress to you why it is actually important to nurture and keep your customers. So I'm going to throw some stats at you to start. Did you know that it's actually 6 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to keep a current one? So what we're always doing is looking for the shiny new object, the new customer. Oh, Facebook advertising, yeah, great, let's leap in and do that and get more customers. We're actually not noticing that we're not looking after our current customers and they're sometimes walking away. So we have to put a lot of time and energy into getting these new customers when really it's much easier to look after our current ones and get them to purchase more from us. On average, loyal customers are worth up to 10 times as much as their first purchase. And when you think of it, if you've got a high-end product, for instance, worth about 10 grand, and you'd say, okay, well, a loyal customer is worth 10 times that, that's $100,000. So it's really worth nurturing and keeping your customers. Another great stat is around the probability of selling to a new prospect versus the probability of selling to an existing one. So 5 to 20% probability of selling to a new prospect versus 60 to 70% probability of selling to an existing customer. It is just so much easier to sell to an existing customer. I remember a few years ago, I wanted to fill an event. I didn't even have a new website at that stage. We were getting it built. I'm like, how can I fill this event? So what I did is I got on the phone and just called a whole lot of current customers and old customers and filled the event in no time. Whereas it would have been much harder for me to go out there prospecting, trying to build relationships with people who didn't know me. Because as we know, or you may or may not know, it takes usually a bit between 5 or 10, touches to build trust for someone to buy off you. So if you're doing a Facebook ad, for instance, they often won't click through on the first time they see it. They might need to see it a few more times. And that takes time and energy and money to set those things up. So you might as well be selling to those people that you already have. Another great stat is that customers remember the service a lot longer than they remember the price. And yet people get fixated on price. I work with a whole lot of people and they're like, oh, I don't know how to price this. Or a customer's left me because it was the price. Maybe I should lower my prices. When really it's about the relationship you have with them and the value. That's the thing that they remember rather than just the price. And this is probably really politically incorrect, but I often say to people when they're worrying about price, they're doing a bundle, for instance, of goods and services to sell to somebody, and they ask me about pricing. I usually say, look, create the bundle and pull a price out of your bum. And what I'm saying here is just, what does it matter? Just as long as you're providing value. Put it together and make sure that you show the value and they realise the value, test the market, and if they purchase, then that's great. So it's really about the value rather than the price per se. The next stat that I'd like to share with you is the average business loses 10 to 25% of its customer base per year. So what we often think about is our sales funnel of, before they know you and then becoming a prospect to becoming a customer. And we often talk about, your funnel being a sieve, where you're losing people along the way to purchase. But what we don't often think about is the fact that we've got gold in them their hills, all those customers who have already purchased for them from us. And it's like we've got them in the bucket and we're just letting them leap out of our bucket. So if we're losing, an average business loses 10 to 25% of these people per year, and they say, oh yes, the business is growing by 25%. You're getting 25% more customers, but you're losing 25%. So your actual growth is zero. So if you focus on the gold in them their hills and you build that up so that you're only losing 10%, because we're always going to lose, some customers, or even get it down to 5%. So when you're pouring in the 25% more at the same time, then you're getting real sustained growth in your business. So based on what I've just shared with you, looking after your current customers and nurturing them is a really great idea in your business. It's easier, it's more profitable, and it's really the clever thing to do. So let's jump in to the 5 surefire ways to nurture and keep your customers. Okay, number 1 is the SCAR model. So this meets the primal needs of customers. So let me explain more. So as a person, we are either in a toward state or an away state. And what we're saying here is when we're in a toward state, we feel happy, we feel comfortable, we're more likely to buy and we're more likely to stay. When we're in this state, we have dopamine, which is a precursor to adrenaline, and we feel really good and we're happy. And so that's what a happy customer is going to feel like in this toward state. When a customer is not happy, they might be in an away state. And this is a little bit of a continuum here. So, usually people are somewhere along this line. So when they're in more of an away state, then you get cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is released from their body. And what happens is they're confused or they're stressed. And when they're in this state, they can't make a decision to purchase more from you. And if they are currently with you, they'll often get in such a stress state or in a different state that they walk away. So what we want to do is make sure that we've got more customers in a toward state. So how do we do this? This is called the SCAR model. And there you see the acronym here: status, certainty, attention, and real value. So let me share more about this. So status is how you feel about yourself in relation to someone else. So what you want to do is raise the status of your customers by making them feel good about themselves. An example of my status being lowered as a customer was a few years ago when I was looking for a school for my eldest child to go to, and I rang the office and the woman was really rude to me. And it's just a little thing like that, but I made the decision not to send my child to that school based on the face of that business, because the school's a business, they want more students, based on that conversation. So my message here is that the person who, your reception or the person who answers the phone is often a very important part in your business. And status can be really affected by the way we treat people. So we want to make our customers feel important and raise their status. The next one there is certainty. And certainty, as human beings, we want to know what's coming and what we need to do and what's going to happen and all those sorts of things. So the more certainty that you can have for a customer, the better, the more likely they are going to stay with you. So for instance, a few years ago when I purchased my first property, the guy I was dealing with did not give me certainty. So I put through the documentation to get the loan and I didn't hear. And even bad news is better than no news. So you can give your certainty to your customers by letting them know, the status, give them an update if required, or pick up the phone. So giving them certainty is really important. The third one there is attention. So we as human beings like to be loved and like to be liked, and we like attention. So make sure that you're giving your client enough attention, and that it's up to you to give the attention. Just say you've got them on a program or they've cancelled a few meetings on you or whatever it is. Don't leave it at that. You be proactive, pick up the phone for them and give them the attention that will help them be in a toward state to stay with you longer. And the last one there is real value. So always be mindful of what our customers or clients' biggest problems are, and these may evolve throughout the relationship, but make sure that you're really providing this continual real value and solving their problems. So let's look at these a little bit more closely. Status.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.